Good morning. Good morning. This is Linda Stacy of Living Blueprints, and today I'm going to be talking about how I am handling the brass tacks of the day-to-day for work at home. And we're still inside this COVID space. We're now July, so we've been home for a while. Things have kind of changed for me as this time has gone on in terms of how I'm actually doing my days. And last week I kind of did a big calibration, a restart kind of, and it's been cool, but I'm always tweaking, I'm always changing. So we'll get into it. And I'll remind folks, if you're watching on YouTube and you're enjoying this content, I'd love it if you'd like it and or subscribe. And of course, liking it in Facebook is a good thing too, because then more people see the post and maybe it's of benefit to them also. So before I get started, I just want to say, I'm just sharing from my personal experience, and everyone's got different things on their plate, and you have different options. And anytime I'm exposed to ideas that another person is presenting, it's like a buffet. And if something means something to me or looks good, I might try it out. And it's certainly not prescriptive by any means. That's like the opposite of anything that I'm trying to do with Living Blueprints. I personally have gained a lot from what other people have put into books and on podcasts and in YouTube. So I'm attempting to share some of that with the world as well. So I just wanted to start with, how my day was starting in March when all of this started. I think I was kind of getting a lot of sleep and really enjoying that. So back in March, I was literally sleeping until probably 8:15, and no judgment. I'm trying to be, I don't think there's anything wrong with the way that any of us carry out our days, but if we can do things that help us and are better forms of us, I think that's awesome. For me, sleeping until 8:15 is good to a point. I think as soon as I actually caught up with sleep, it's time to adjust a little bit. So pre-COVID, I was getting up around 5 in the morning, and I'd be at work by just before 9. But like today, I was just thinking about all the things I was able to get done between that 5 a.m. wake up call and getting into the office. Now for me, I did schedule in a little bit of me time, and I haven't always done that. There was a time when I would get up with the last possible minute and try to catch a train, and that was not good. And I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. But anyway, so at 5 o'clock, maybe 20 minutes of me time, whether that means journaling or writing or just sitting quietly, huge in terms of impacting how my day rolls out. Again, this is pre-COVID, all the things I did before I got to work. Of course, I'd shower and make myself presentable. I'd make breakfast and at least have a plan for lunch, whether I was going to get it in town or pack something like a leftover. I also got in about at least a mile of walking with probably 30 pounds on my back. So that walk is not insignificant, which I've learned over time. And then also the 40-minute train ride, which allowed me either personal development or time to work on Living Blueprints. So there was a lot that I was able to get done jammed into this time frame that was kind of controlled by the outer schedule. A lot of things that went away when I started sleeping until 8:15, right? So again, I'm just like looking at this, and it's just an interesting observation. No judgment. It's not like I'm going to start waking up at 5. But on these days, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, now I am at least getting up at 6, and I'm loving getting outside and just being in like nature for a little while. So that's a really nice alternative thing for me right now. A quick sideline, when I started Living Blueprints, it was really about studying joy and drain, because I didn't feel like I had very much joy in my life, and I felt like a lot of things drained me. So I just started interviewing people and having them share what their joys and drains were. And it was remarkable to me how many people said a joyful part of their day was this morning time to themselves. And I had never known that. I didn't think it was possible for me with my commute and everything else. But it's a remarkable little thing that if you have the ability to do it for yourself, it's a life changer. But you can't just start doing it right away. You might be really grumpy when you first wake up that early to try to do something for yourself. Again, whether it's taking a short walk, doing some yoga, just sitting quietly, any of these things. So I said I was going to talk about my day in terms of the work day. And I I've been kind of segmenting my notes as I go. You know, most of us work, well, people who work in a corporate office type setting, we've got a lot of things going on, right? There's a lot of interaction, a lot of things we're trying to hold on to. And I have found it really helpful to use just a regular notebook, in addition, of course, to email and other things. There was a time when email drove my workday, which I don't think is a good idea. I mean, it's an aspect of what you do, but not necessarily what drives what you do. And these days, on one piece of paper for a day, I'm just kind of have these chunks in my notebook. One is like called just random, and those are kind of like the to-dos that come up throughout the day. Another one is the projects, and these are things like if I have a bigger chunk of time, I will spend time on that. We all have things like that. I also have a little section for living blueprints because things will occur to me during the day that I'm working on my regular job, and I just want to be able to make a note, either to do something that I forgot to do, or have an idea for something. I just want to be able to jot that down. I also have a little section for personal or household, again, just things that I don't want to forget. And then I also have been making a little section for meetings. And while they're in my calendar, they're even in my print calendar, I like in the morning just to look at the calendar and say, okay, at 11 o'clock I've got this, at 2 o'clock I've got that. And it just puts me in the mindset, and if there's any little thing I need to get ready for that, and sometimes it's just like reviewing an email or making a couple of notes, I like having them in notebook also. It's really awesome when one of those meetings gets canceled, because then you can see really easily like what you fill in that time. I'm going to put all of these things in a PDF and attach it to the comments to this post. But these are some categories, and then it just kind of fills up as the day goes on. I mean, it's certainly, so I have it kind of from a couple of days ago, and there's lots of text or, you know, my writing here. Some of the things that show up on my random list, again, this is going to be unique to me because of what I do, but, you know, is it possible for me to save a search in one of our databases? I needed to enter my timesheets. I needed to close some requests. I needed to create a couple of order records. A lot of record keeping in what I do. I needed to ping a couple of people who hadn't gotten back to me at some feedback I was looking for. I needed to take some information that I had gotten from a vendor and put it into our record so that we have it. So these are the types of things that I'm just jotting down as I go, as I review email, as I whatever. It doesn't mean I'm doing them right away. It just means that these might be done throughout the course of the day. And then if you do have something in that project area, this is really kind of usually the more meaty part of what you're doing every day. I think it's great then to use that Pomodoro technique. And I could post a link to when I talked about that in another YouTube live. But if you were able to do 90 minutes of Pomodoro on projects every day, just 90 minutes, and then the rest is like all this random stuff and whatever else shows up, you would be moving things along so well. So when I say 90 minutes of Pomodoros, that means 25 minutes, you're only working on that one thing. You're not being distracted by anything else. You're not looking at email. After the 25 minutes, your timer goes off. You could take a quick break for 5 minutes, maybe go to the bathroom, maybe get a drink, maybe put the laundry in the dryer, whatever that is, come back to it 25 minutes. Do that 3 times. It's amazing what you can move forward if you focus energy and time and attention like that. It's so easy to be distracted. We love being distracted. It's in our biology. We've created all sorts of tools and toys to distract ourselves. And it's really, it can be really remarkable and wonderful and feeling of satisfaction when you're actually moving those things forward also. So those are some ideas for how I'm moving things forward these days. Again, at the start of the day, I'm looking at yesterday's, craze to see what didn't get knocked off, whether it's a random thing or a project still in motion. And so I'm doing that at the start of the day. And at the end of the day, you can do a quick sweep, do a quick review, even maybe leave yourself 5 minutes or 10 minutes before the end of the day. So if there's anything critical that you need to get out, even a quick message to someone or something, you can do that for yourself. And it just kind of completes the day. A lot of people have been talking about working more in this at-home environment. And I'm not completely sure what drives all of that. I would guess that especially at the beginning, people were like, oh my gosh, I am happy to have a job right now. I need to be as productive as possible. People need to know that I'm part of this organization. And so people were really, really committed and constantly working. Now, I've just heard from so many different people online and personally that are just staying in their chairs. And I hope that you've got something compelling to get you out of your chair and to do something else, whether it's take a walk, or, I have, thank goodness, got, playing golf on Thursday nights has been awesome. Now I'm going to be adding tennis to that. Things that can get another part of you kind of going and your blood pumping. we do not need to be working so much. Another thing, I know that meetings have been going the full hour, back to back, and that this is exhausting. You know, turning off your camera might be a good idea on occasion, or setting it to that mode where you can't see yourself. That can be very draining, watching yourself all the time. And if you have the power, you could empower someone else or ask someone else maybe not to schedule meetings for the full hour. Can you have a 5-minute break before the next one starts? Can you feel confident enough to say, you know what, I need to jump off 5 minutes early? When the meeting starts, you're letting people know I'm going to be jumping off, so that you can have a little bit of a mental break between these things and not go nuts. I mean, if you look at your day, if you look at yesterday and see where things really got jammed up, can you fit in some kind of slice of reprieve in all of that? That would be awesome. And again, there need to be breaks in all of this. I talked about putting breaks in the Pomodoro, but you could also put breaks in the doing a set of random tasks. Again, I will sometimes at noontime, I really love the heat. I'll go outside and do 10 minutes of yoga, and it warms my body because it's a little bit cold in our house. And it's fantastic. It puts me in a completely different mind frame. Going for a walk, doing the 15 minutes of meal prep, doing something in the late afternoon. I mean, it's the same as standing by a water cooler for 15 minutes. I don't think you're doing your employer any harm by getting dinner prepped, and it's a different type of activity, and it actually helps you biologically to have a nice meal prepared for yourself. And then what I've talked about on occasion is the singing, or I love to sing, so sometimes I'll just turn on YouTube and I sing a couple of awesome songs that I love, or move. I know there's a lot of dance parties happening online. Just something to kind of mix up your day and make you feel like a human, and especially when things get tedious and heavy. Okay, so I hope this helps. And again, I'm gonna, I'll put in a PDF of like these sections of things that I'm doing in a way that you could use that PDF yourself, or you could just adapt it to your own notebook later today. Okay, I will post that. So I hope everyone has a great day. Again, if you enjoy this or think it's valuable, like, share. Of course, you can't share in Facebook, but you can share on YouTube if you see it there later. And I hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.